September 1st, 1939. Adolf Hitler was sitting in his office at Berghof, looking at a map, the Polish front. The German army was advancing. But another question was on his mind. What will Britain and France do? Ribbentrop entered. My leader, Britain and France have declared war. Hitler wasn't surprised, but he smiled. They declared it, yes, but they won't fight. Watch. Within 2 months, they'll be fighting with each other. Within 6 months, they'll want peace. Ribbentrop, are you sure? Hitler, definitively, I'm sure. Western democracies are weak, indecisive, divided. They don't trust each other. Britain looks down on France. France fears Britain. America is isolationist. They can never unite. We will win because they will lose. From within, Hitler was wrong. But why did he think this way? The answer to this question lies in a mixture of Hitler's worldview, his misreading of history, and his psychopathological prejudices. This is that story. The story of Hitler's greatest strategic miscalculation. Before starting the story, please hit the like button. It helps us reach more people with these forgotten stories. If you're new, subscribe, turn on notifications. Now, let's get back to the story. It all started in 1918. Hitler, 29 years old, at the end of World War I, Germany had been defeated. But how? In Hitler's mind, Germany wasn't defeated on the front. It was stabbed in the back. The home front collapsed. But he made a deeper analysis. Germany lost a two-front war. France and Britain in the west. Russia in the east. If enemies unite, Germany loses. But then, the Versailles Peace Conference, 1919. Hitler read the newspaper reports. Britain and France were arguing at the conference. Amount of reparations. German borders. Colonies. Hitler took notes. The Allies aren't united. Their interests are different. Britain wants to protect naval power. France wants security on land. The two are contradictory. If there's war again, this contradiction can be exploited. Throughout the 1920s, Hitler developed this theory. He wrote in his book, Western democracies are rotten from within. The people don't want war. Leaders are weak. Alliances are on paper. In a real crisis, they'll collapse. Germany's strategy, divide them, prevent them from trusting each other, then defeat them one by one. This was Hitler's fundamental strategic vision. And in the 1930s, he began to test it. 1938, Czechoslovakia crisis. Hitler wanted the Sudetenland. There was a German minority living there. I must rescue them, he said. France had an alliance treaty with Czechoslovakia. If you attack, we'll end the war too. Britain was supporting France. We'll preserve peace, but we'll fight if necessary. Hitler bluffed. I'll take the Sudetenland. If there's war, so be it. September 1938, the crisis peaked. War seemed near, but then Chamberlain stepped in. British Prime Minister. He flew to Munich, met with Hitler. Chamberlain, you can have the Sudetenland, but no war. Hitler was surprised but hit it. Agreed. September 29th, Munich Conference. Britain, France, Germany, Italy. Czechoslovakia wasn't even invited. Decision. Sudetenland to Germany. Czechoslovakia must accept. Otherwise, no protection. When Chamberlain returned to London, he told the crowd, peace for our time. But Hitler at Berghof to Göring, did you see? They divided. France didn't want war. Britain pressured France. Czechoslovakia was abandoned. Westerners can't unite. I'm right. For Hitler, Munich was proof. The West is weak. If I pressure them, they'll collapse. They don't trust each other. March 1939. Hitler violated the Munich Agreement. He occupied the rest of Czechoslovakia. Prague was seized by German troops. Chamberlain was shocked. Hitler didn't keep his word. Peace was a lie. France was angry. We've been betrayed. But what did they do? Diplomatic protest. Threat of economic sanctions. But no military intervention. Hitler took note. Same again. Protest, but no action. They don't dare, because they don't trust each other. France is asking, will Britain support? Britain is wondering, will France really fight? Result, neither moves. April 1939, Britain and France guaranteed Poland. If Germany attacks, we'll fight with you. When Hitler heard this, to Ribbentrop, empty words. They also guaranteed Czechoslovakia. What happened? Nothing. They'll do the same with Poland. Hitler made his plan. Invade Poland. Britain and France will protest. Maybe declare war. But won't actually fight. Because they don't trust each other. September 1st, 1939, the German army entered Poland, advancing toward Warsaw. Hitler was waiting. Britain and France won't make a sound. Or just diplomatic. September 3rd, Britain declared war on Germany. Same day, France. Hitler got angry. Why? Why did they declare? They retreated at Munich. They were silent on Czechoslovakia. Why different now? Ribbentrop. Public pressure. Chamberlain was criticized after Munich. Now he has to appear strong. Hitler. Okay, they declared. But will they actually fight? Watch. Nothing will happen on the Western Front. And he was proven right. September-December 1939. Phony war. Britain and France didn't launch a military attack on Germany. They waited behind the Maginot Line. Hitler felt victorious. See? They're not fighting. They declared war but no action because they don't trust each other. France is saying, how much support will Britain give? Britain is saying, will France attack? Result, neither moves. Hitler's theory was strengthening. Westerners can't unite. They can't decide. Over time, internal disagreements will grow. Eventually, they'll want peace. May 1940, Germany attacked the West. Blitzkrieg against France and Belgium. Hitler's calculation, I may not defeat France, but if I divide them, I'll win. Britain will abandon France. France won't trust Britain. The army will collapse. And that's exactly what happened, but for a different reason. The German army passed through the Ardennes forest, pierced French defense. Panzers reached the Channel. British forces were encircled, trapped at Dunkirk, against the sea. May 26 to June 4th, Dunkirk evacuation. 338,000 British and French soldiers evacuated to Britain, but heavy weapons, tanks, artillery left behind. French commanders were angry. The British fled. They abandoned us. The British defended. No, evacuation was necessary. Otherwise, we'd all be prisoners. But trust cracked. Hitler saw this. To Ribbentrop, the British abandoned France. I told you, Westerners abandon each other. In crisis moments, each protects his own interests. June 14th, Paris fell. June 22nd, France requested an armistice. In Compiègne Forest, in the same wagon as the 1918 armistice, the French signed the surrender document. Hitler, drunk with victory. France fell in 6 weeks. Britain is alone. Now Britain will want peace. Because America isn't here. Soviets are in the pact. Britain is alone. They'll give up. But Hitler was wrong again. Britain didn't give up. Churchill, June 4th speech. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. Hitler didn't understand Churchill because Hitler expected Chamberlain logic. Pragmatic, seeking peace. But Churchill was different. Never surrender. July-October 1940, Battle of Britain. The Luftwaffe bombed Britain. Tried to gain air superiority. Purpose. Preparation for Operation Cillian. But the RAF resisted. Spitfire and Hurricane fighters shot down German bombers. Hitler waited. Britain will be exhausted. Then they'll want peace. Maybe Churchill will be overthrown. New leader makes a deal. September 1940, Hitler began bombing London. The Blitz, civilian targets. Purpose, intimidate the people. But the British resisted. Churchill's leadership united the people. Morale didn't break. October 1940, Hitler postponed Cillian. We'll reassess in spring. But in his mind, still the same thought. Britain will eventually collapse. Because they're alone. America won't come. They're isolationists. Hitler misread America, but more importantly, he misread Britain's determination. And in 1940, U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt was sending secret messages to Churchill. We'll support Britain, but we can't officially declare war. Congress won't allow it. The people are isolationist. March 1941, Lend-Lease Act. America began sending weapons, food, materials to Britain in the form of Lend-Lease. Officially not a sale, but actually support. Hitler heard this, but didn't take it seriously. America is weak. Its army is small. Won't dare come to Europe. Roosevelt is only supporting in words, nothing in action. Hitler's calculation. America also joined World War I late. 1917. Same will happen now. If we win quickly in Europe, America won't even come. August 1941. Atlantic Charter. Churchill and Roosevelt met on a ship, discussed post-war order. But America still was in the war. Hitler heard about the Roosevelt-Churchill meeting, but commented, propaganda. Two leaders met for a photo opportunity. No real alliance. America won't come. Hitler underestimated America's industrial capacity. This was one of Hitler's biggest miscalculations. June 22, 1941, Hitler attacked the Soviets. Operation Barbarossa. 3 million soldiers. History's largest invasion. Hitler's calculation. The Soviets will collapse in 3 months. Then Britain will be alone. Maybe America provides support, but not enough. Britain will want peace. But there was another calculation. If the Soviets fall, tension will increase between Britain and America, because America is against communism. If the Soviets disappear, America will say, the threat is over, will reduce support to Britain. Hitler miscalculated once again. June 22nd, Barbarossa began. Same day, Churchill spoke on the radio. The attack on the Soviet Union is an attack on the British Isles. We will support the Soviets. Against Hitler, any ally is our ally. Stalin was surprised. Britain was a communist enemy. Why is it giving support? But Churchill was pragmatic. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Hitler is the main threat. The Soviets are now an ally. July 1941, Britain began sending military supplies to the Soviets. Arctic convoys. Dangerous, but vital. August 1941, Roosevelt extended Lend-Lease to the Soviets too. Stalin is fighting against Hitler. We'll support him. Hitler heard this. Was surprised. Britain and America are helping communists? Illogical. They're ideological enemies. But Churchill and Roosevelt chose pragmatism over ideology. Hitler is a common enemy. To defeat him, cooperation with Stalin. Hitler couldn't understand this, because Hitler had ideological blindness. Communists and capitalists can never unite, natural enemies. But the Westerners united, and Hitler's theory collapsed. December 7th, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The American Pacific Fleet, heavy casualties. December 8th, America declared war on Japan. Hitler heard the news. His first reaction, good. Japan will keep America busy. Won't have time to come to Europe. But then a demand came from Japan. We attacked America, according to the Tripartite Pact. You must also declare war on America. Hitler thought. Ribbentrop objected. My leader, let's not declare war on America. No need. They're not attacking us. But Hitler thought differently. No, I'll declare war on America. Because, first, solidarity with Japan. They're loyal to us. We should be too. Second, America is already effectively an enemy. With Lend-Lease, they're supporting Britain and the Soviets. Official war is just a formality. Third, we'll keep America busy in the Pacific. Japan will distract them. They can't come to Europe. December 11th, 1941, Hitler spoke at the Reichstag, declared war on America. This was one of Hitler's biggest strategic mistakes, because America could have concentrated on Europe, but Hitler made it mandatory that America's industrial capacity was 5 times Germany's. In a long war, America would win. Japan couldn't distract America enough. From 1942 onwards, America fought in both Pacific and Europe. But Hitler still believed Western allies can't unite. Britain, Soviets, America, their interests are different. Eventually, they'll divide. January 1943, Casablanca, Morocco. Roosevelt and Churchill, secret meeting. War strategy. Stalin was invited but didn't come. "I'm busy at the front," he said. At the end of the conference, Roosevelt made an announcement. Germany, Italy, Japan. Unconditional surrender. No other option. Hitler heard this. His comment, see? Unconditional surrender. This is illogical. If they were really united, they'd offer more reasonable terms. But saying unconditional surrender is propaganda. There's disagreement among them. Roosevelt is speaking harshly because he doesn't trust Britain. Churchill doesn't trust Stalin. Eventually, they'll divide. But the reality, unconditional surrender was, on the contrary, a sign of unity. The three allies had agreed on a common decision. Hitler's regime must be destroyed. No compromise. Hitler misread it because he projected his own logic onto others. I made a temporary agreement with the Soviets, but plan to destroy them long term. Westerners are doing the same. But the Westerners were different. They had truly united. November 1943, Tehran, Iran. For the first time, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin together. The big three. Agenda, Second Front. Stalin pressured. The Soviets have been fighting Germany alone for 2 years. A second front must be open now. Roosevelt, spring 1944, landing in France. Normandy. Churchill hesitant. Maybe through the Balkans? Easier. Stalin suspected. Churchill wants to delay the second front. He wants the Soviets to take more casualties. But finally, agreement. D-Day, May-June 1944. Landing in Normandy. Hitler received an intelligence report after the Tehran conference. 3 leaders met. Second front decision. Hitler's comment. The agreement is fake. Stalin doesn't trust Britain and America. Maybe the conference was just for photos. No real coordination. D-Day will fail, or be delayed. They can't unite. But again, he was wrong. D-Day happened on June 6, 1944. The Allies launched a coordinated attack. Hitler's "they can't unite" theory proved wrong once again. December 1944, Hitler decided on one last gamble. Ardennes offensive. On the Western Front, surprise attack on American lines. Hitler's calculation. I'll create a division between American and British forces. I'll split them in 2. Belgian ports will be captured. The British will be pushed to the sea. Dunkirk, again. Then the Americans will be alone. They'll want peace. Generals objected. Manstein. My Führer, resources are insufficient. Chance of success is low. Hitler. No. Westerners are weak. They're not united. If we strike hard, they'll divide, like in 1940. December 16th, Ardennes offensive began. First days, there was progress. American lines were surprised, but then American resistance hardened. Siege of Bastogne. 101st Airborne Division resisted. Churchill immediately supported America. If necessary, all British reserves will be sent to the Ardennes. Hitler was waiting. The British will abandon the Americans, like Dunkirk. But it didn't happen. The British remained loyal. January 1945, Ardennes offensive failed. Germans retreated. Heavy casualties. Hitler shocked. How? They remained united again. Why? Why didn't they divide? Goebbels tried to answer. Leader, maybe they're really united. Hitler refused. No. Impossible. Western democracies can't unite. History shows this. They divided at Versailles. They divided at Munich. They should divide now too. But the time hasn't come yet. More pressure is needed. Hitler didn't change his theory until the end. February 1945, Yalta, Crimea. Roosevelt, Churchill, Stalin met again. Post-war order. Agenda, division of Germany. Occupation zones. War crimes trials. United Nations. There were disagreements. Polish borders. Soviet influence in Eastern Europe, but the three leaders compromised. Yalta Declaration. Germany will be divided into 4 zones: Soviet, American, British, French. Berlin, joint administration. War criminals will be tried. Hitler received Yalta news. Berlin was under siege, but he still read. His comment to Bormann: Yalta is fake. Stalin can't agree with Britain and America. The Poland issue is unsolvable. The Soviets want to take Eastern Europe. Westerners will oppose. Eventually, they'll fight the Soviets. We'll wait. Maybe Westerners will want alliance with us. Not against Hitler, against Stalin. Why did Hitler believe Western allies couldn't unite? Psychologists and historians identified several reasons. Reason 1, projection. Hitler projected his own strategy onto others. He made temporary alliances with the Soviets in 1939, then betrayed Barbarossa in 1941. I'm like this, everyone is like this, he thought. But Western leaders were different. Churchill, Roosevelt, Stalin, all were pragmatic but honest. They honored agreements, mostly. Reason 2, World War I trauma. 1918, Germany was defeated. Hitler saw alliances crush Germany, but at Versailles, they fell upon each other. This left a lasting impression. Alliances are temporary. When war ends, they collapse. But World War II was different. The alliance strengthened throughout the war. Reason 3, overconfidence. Victories between 1939 to 1941 intoxicated Hitler. I'm invincible. My strategy is perfect. Westerners are stupid. This overconfidence prevented him from seeing reality. Bastogne, Ardennes, D-Day, all were proof that Westerners unite. But Hitler denied it. Reason 4, misinterpreting intelligence. German intelligence was reporting disputes among Western leaders. Churchill and Stalin couldn't agree on Poland. Roosevelt and Churchill had different ideas on war strategy. Hitler interpreted these reports like this: look, they're fighting. Soon they'll divide. But the reality, democratic societies make decisions through debate. This isn't weakness, it's strength, because debate produces better decisions. The reality Hitler missed: the Western alliance was strong. Why? 1, common enemy, common interest. Hitler was an existential threat. Britain was being bombed. The Soviets were being invaded. America had been attacked at Pearl Harbor. The 3 countries had to unite to survive. 2, leadership compatibility. Churchill, Roosevelt, Stalin, very different personalities, but all were pragmatic. Ideological differences were less important than defeating Hitler. 3, coordination mechanisms. Regular conferences, Casablanca, Tehran, Yalta, Potsdam. Military coordination, combined chiefs of staff. Lend-lease, material sharing. 4, propaganda and morale. Democracy against fascism. Freedom versus tyranny. Western propaganda was effective. The people supported unity. 5, economic capacity. America's industry was 5 times Germany's. Soviet manpower was tremendous. Britain's experience and technology. Together, they were invincible. Hitler couldn't see this, or didn't want to see it. 1947, Cold War began. Soviets and the West opposed. Iron Curtain, Berlin Wall, Korean War, Cuban Missile Crisis. Some neo-Nazis said Hitler was right. Westerners and Soviets eventually divided. But this is a misinterpretation, because division happened not while Hitler was fighting, but after Hitler was defeated. During the war, Westerners were united. Cold War was post-war. When the common enemy was gone, differences came to the fore. This is natural. But Hitler's theory was they'll divide during the war. He was wrong. Cold War didn't turn into hot war. Soviets and the West didn't directly fight. Diplomacy, deterrence. The West-Soviet war Hitler expected didn't happen. Let's say Hitler's theory was correct. Western allies divided in 1943. Soviets and the West made peace, or declared war on each other. Scenario A, West-Soviet disagreement, German opportunity. 1943, Stalin and Churchill couldn't agree on Poland. Alliance cracked. Soviets wanted separate peace. Westerners made a deal with Germany. Hitler, fight the Soviets in the East. We're neutral. Hitler concentrated in the East. Soviets, without Western support, weak. Maybe in 1944, Germany took Moscow. But then, Germany was exhausted. The West found an opportunity. 1945, Britain and America attacked weakened Germany. Hitler still lost. Scenario B, Soviet-West War. 1944, Stalin completely took Poland. Westerners objected. Soviet-West War began. Hitler watched both sides. They'll eat each other. But Germany was too weak. Neither Soviets nor the West wanted alliance with Germany. Both sides crushed Germany. Hitler still lost. Conclusion: in every scenario, Hitler loses. Because the fundamental problem is Germany's resources. Even if the Western alliance divided, Germany couldn't win. How do modern historians view Hitler's Westerners will divide theory? Ian Kershaw. Hitler didn't understand Western democracies. He thought with dictatorship logic. Leaders are weak. People are divided. But democratic systems strengthen in crisis. Hitler never understood this. Andrew Roberts. Churchill and Roosevelt were ideologically different, but common threat united them. Hitler underestimated this unity. His big mistake. Anthony Beaver. Hitler drew wrong lesson from World War I. Alliances are temporary. But World War II was different. Common purpose was stronger. Jeffrey Roberts. Stalin didn't trust Westerners. But against Hitler, there was no other choice. Pragmatism defeated distrust. Conclusion: historians agree that Hitler's theory was fundamentally wrong. From 1939 to 1945, Hitler believed the same theory. Western allies can't unite. Eventually, they'll divide, and Germany will win. This theory proved wrong at every stage. Poland, 1939. Westerners declared war. France, 1940. Temporary success, but Britain didn't give up. Barbarossa, 1941. Westerners supported the Soviets. Pearl Harbor, 1941. America entered the war at D-Day, 1944. Coordinated landing. Ardennes, 1944. Unity didn't break. Yalta, 1945. Common plan. Every time, Hitler was wrong, but he never changed his theory. Result: Nazi Germany was destroyed. 1945, Berlin was taken by the Red Army. History's bitter lesson: leaders must look at reality, not ideology. Must not underestimate the enemy. Hitler never understood this, and the world paid the price. If this story affected you, please hit the like button. Every like helps us reach more people with these forgotten stories. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Write a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. This community is spread all over the world. You're part of it too. Thanks for watching. Remember, history repeats itself, but only if we don't learn its lessons.